And good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land. I am your host, Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is my co-host, Madison Delaney. Madison, how are we doing on this fine Thursday evening?
We're hanging in there. We committed to a concert on Tuesday for Wednesday night. It went a little later than expected, so we are a little tired, but we are going to make it through this show.
And that is good. I like when we are talking in the third person, we are doing the right thing. That is solid. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's Thursday. I am looking forward to this week being over. I don't know about you. How about down in your Raleigh area there? Is the weather getting pretty chilly? I know that up here it's been kind of cold.
It is pretty cold. The dog walk this morning was not ideal, but I throw the 40-pound weight vest on, and I feel a little warmer after that.
All right. Well, we have got a guest tonight. Joining us tonight will be a member development specialist from the Cleveland Cavaliers, one and only Troy Lowe. What is up, Troy? How are you, sir?
I'm crushing it. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You are crushing it, my man.
Always am. Come on now.
Real nice.
Cavs basketball's back. Cavs basketball's back. Ohio State's undefeated. I mean, what's there to complain about?
Exactly. Nothing. That's
Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. I love that positive energy. That's why you're the man, Troy. Troy, thank you for coming back on the show once again with us. We love having you here. You are, like I said, you're a bundle of energy, and that's why you're so good at what you do over there for the Cavs. You are the man. How are things going? I know that it's early in the season. 2-3. We got our win. Got the win last night. That was big. But these early season injuries, what's the vibe like after losing the first 3 home games?
Yeah, the vibe is not as bad as you would assume. I think, with losing 3, we won the first game, then lost 3 straight, right?
Correct.
I think the panic button would be out if we weren't dealing with all the injuries. I think we're so used to having all our injuries on the back half of the season, right before we're gearing up for playoffs. So in my brain, I kind of have a dumb sports fan brain, but I'm like, hey, let's get all the injuries out of the way in the early part of the season. That way, down the road, we're going to be spick and spam and ready to roll. But again, that's probably just my dumb sports brain, just being like, get them out of the way early.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's logic. It's not necessarily good logic or bad logic. It's just one of those things. I mean, Madison, okay, you talk to me as someone who played at the collegiate level, coached at the collegiate level. If your team, going into it, if you have to have some injuries, is there, and I'm using the term loosely, is there a preference on when the injuries are better to hit the team, whether it be the beginning of the season or the end of the season?
I feel like you're hitting me too close to home since I was always the one that was injured. but I mean, in general, you want it to be early because you just got to make it to where you have a chance in tournament play, right? And once you get in there, anything can happen. So that's kind of the goal. So, I mean, definitely get it out of the way now. It's kind of the tough part of our schedule anyways. So, there would be some ups and downs probably regardless of who was playing, just by the nature of who we're playing. So get them out of the way. Hopefully you get some guys going that, maybe wouldn't get a ton of opportunity otherwise with a fully healthy roster. So ride that wave. I'm going to ride that Okoro wave all the way into the playoffs, hopefully.
That's exactly what I was thinking. When you said that, I don't think we see Amani Bates this early.
Yeah.
Without all these injuries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be very valuable time and playing experience and minutes for some of these younger guys. Craig Porter Jr., he's doing a really excellent job filling in there with injuries to Garland and Ty Jerome. But these are some tough shoes to fill. When you're missing. We're missing Garland. We haven't had Jared Allen all season. We missed LeVert for a game or so. Did he miss 2 games or just one?
I think it was just one. because he played last night. Yeah, he played last night in New York.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of keep track of these things. And then you lost Mitchell for a game. I mean, tough stuff. And obviously, it was a difficult scene going back to New York in a matchup that has not been very kind to us in the playoffs and even in the first half of the back-to-back in Cleveland. New York is just that team. They are pesky. And what's the adage, the old saying? Oh, geez, players make games or matchups make fights. That sort of thing. It's just one of those things where the way that the Cavs and the Knicks come up against each other, the Knicks have had the better of the Cavs thus far for whatever reason. And that darn, Mitchell Robinson, he's annoying. And Jalen Brunson, he's annoying too. In fact, they're all annoying. All New Yorkers are annoying. That's my take on that.
No, I mean, I think that matchup has obviously been bad to us. I mean, I think it's pretty clear only winning one game, of that playoff series last year. And then, I mean, I guess splitting the two is one of the better case scenarios, being able to do that. But I think I love the comments that Max Strus made after that loss to them at home, where he's kind of bringing some of that Heat culture over here, where like he's not making excuses. He's like, I don't care how many starters are down. Like, we just got the crap beat out of us. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, but he didn't use the word crap. We'll just say that. But, they were more physical. They were tougher. And it was like exactly what we saw in the playoffs, unfortunately. And at least for that first game at home. And, it was really tough to see, to be honest. And one thing that gets my mind turning, and unfortunately, Mobley hasn't been, very great this season so far. So early, very early. But it gets me thinking, how important is Jared Allen? I feel like Mobley really hasn't looked like himself, and, Jared Allen hasn't been on the court. So I don't know if that's, Jared Allen making his life a whole lot easier, or if, Mobley is just kind of, stumbling a little bit at the start.
Yeah, Madison, your thoughts. I mean, I trust your basketball acumen and expertise. I mean, I've got my opinions, but what do you think? Is it simply not having Allen out there? Oh, it's Mr. Kitty or Miss Kitty.
Yeah, that's Junebug. You can call her Junie B. I'm sorry.
Junie B. All right, Junie. Is that like Junie B. Jones?
Bingo.
Bingo. Yeah, I know my kids read the Junie B. Jones, or had at least. But Madison, is it a product of these injuries that Mobley is kind of out there on an island, or do you think that he's still got a little ways to go in his development?
I mean, I think at this point in his career, he's certainly not a 5, which is what we're kind of pushing him into without Jared Allen. Like, he just doesn't have the strength to really go up inside. And I know, like, there was points made about like guards just driving through his chest and laying it in pretty much no problem on some occasions. So he's like getting out muscled by some younger players. I think he's just been really timid to start the season. And he got a lot of hype preseason from his teammates, all the offseason stuff. Like, he's worked really hard on like the outside shot. He's looking great offensively. And then we've gotten into the actual games, and he is the number 2 option. Like, let's be frank. Like, I get Max Strus, great shooter for sure. Like, in this lineup with Mitchell and Mobley should be number 2. Like, I don't think there's a debate. Like, you're kicking it out to Strus 100%. Yeah. But he shouldn't be the number 2 guy. Kara shouldn't be the number 2 guy. It should be Mobley. And he's not taking the shots that a number 2 would take. And I don't know, like, some people think like maybe it's Garland being out that's really the problem because he's getting him lobs. But like, I want more than just a guy who finishes a lob, right? And he can be that. And that's what's frustrating about it, is that he can be better than that. He just needs to go do it. So it's been a little tough to watch. I had a little bit of harsh reaction after the first Knicks game on Mobley a bit. I had to walk it back. I've come off the ledge a little bit since then.
But I'm sure you made some valid points, because like I feel the same way, where it's really disheartening to see, because I mean, I know a lot of people have said this, but if we're going to win a championship, there's a good chance that he needs to be arguably the best player on our team.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to see him closer to 20-10 than 18-7. I mean, it's only a few rebounds, but we got out rebounded last night, 50-46, which in all senses of the game is not that bad. We held them. We played very well defensively, kept them to a low shooting percentage. I heard a funny remark. I think it was from Mr. Cavalier on the broadcast talking about the reason, that last year New York was terrible in shooting. So they have to rebound the ball. They've got to be a good rebounding team. And that's something that I like the coaching style for that reason of Tibbs, of Tom Thibodeau. And it'll remain to be seen. I think that it's a young season, certainly. Getting that 95-89 win last night was big to kind of lift us off the mat. I'm looking around the league and look at this Boston. They just put a whooping on the Pacers. They put up 155 points. And I mean, that's crazy in regulation. And Jason Tatum is balling out very early. I know it's very early, but wow, I'm actually very impressed with how he's coming out of the gate. So the Boston Celtics at 4-0, that's going to be tough. And in the
Porzingis, right? Porzingis has been a huge ad for them, being able to space the floor like that. Yes,
definitely. I haven't even seen any of their games, but I'm just looking at the standings and thinking, wow, they are starting off well. Milwaukee is still having some bumps with their new lineup and trying to get everybody acclimated. I mean, sure, you can bring in all this star power in Dame Lillard, but you're also up in a way, I'm using this term kind of loosely, upsetting the apple cart. You had this nice, cohesion with the players, with Middleton and Holiday and Giannis. And now you bring in Lillard, you get rid of, you don't have Drew Holiday. So they got to rework some things there. Yeah. And they've got a new coach too. That was big. Was that a whole Jimmy Haslam thing? Was that totally Jimmy Haslam? He joins ownership. All of a sudden, coach loses. Justin won a championship a year before. Fired. You're out.
Seems like it. No?
yeah, exactly. That is.
But that I think with the Bucks, I think losing Drew Holiday is like bigger than what most people might think, because I know Giannis is like defensive player of the year, like one of the best defenders in the game. But, I feel like Drew Holiday was the heart and soul, he came with that extra passion that added so much to having arguably one of the best defenses in the league. So I feel like they're kind of missing Drew Holiday more than they might think.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's early, and you got Dame Lillard, Dame time, baby.
Yeah, he is one special player. So last night, Cavs without Allen, without Garland, without Ty Jerome, but they had LeVert. LeVert was big off the bench. LeVert contributed 19, 6 rebounds and 5 assists. That's big time. And then, Mobley, solid 14, 8 and 5. And really, although again, and this is why he's a superstar and is getting paid the big bucks. That's what Donovan Mitchell does, 36 and 4 to lead the cause for the Cavs in the 95-89 victory. They're now 2 and 3. And next up for them, they've played Indiana at home. They lost to Indiana 125-113 when they were shorthanded. Now they got to go on the road as they play Indiana on Friday night as part of the NBA's inaugural in-season tournament. So talk to me, Troy. What's the hype like there for the NBA in-season tournament?
Yeah, so it's new. So I'm going to start off by saying that. So there isn't as much hype as hopefully that it's going to get in the future. A lot of people are pretty confused about it. It's hard to imagine that they fit this in-season tournament, without having to add really a lot of extra games. Really, the championship is really going to be
the only extra game for anybody.
Exactly, and that's the only game that's not going to be counted towards the record. But right. I think it's a lot of confusion, a lot like the play-in tournament. I think the play-in tournament, a lot of people hated it the first year because they didn't really understand it, and then I feel like this past year has really kind of shown how awesome that play-in tournament, and Minnesota with Pat Bev taking his shirt off, acting like they won the championship. That was electric. That was a play-in game. Right. But I think it's a lot like that, where not too many people know exactly what's going on, but once it gets going and they understand what it means, it's going to get really exciting come that December 4th, the week of December 4th, when, they're playing in it. And the whole idea behind it is to try and draw more eyes to the NBA. I mean, that's all they're really trying to do. They want people to pay more attention to basketball while football is going on. but I'm excited for it. I'm pumped. I think it's a really cool way, and it's a lot like the World Cup. Like, why not? And the players get paid like $500,000 for winning it.
Right. That's definitely money talks, right? Money talks. I don't know. All right. So I'm going to go around, let you guys give your thoughts and then I'll provide mine. What do we think about, did you see the graphic and you would see it firsthand, but the alternate courts for every team for the play-in or not the play for the in-season tournament? I'll go to you first, Troy, since you get the first-hand view of it. What are your thoughts on the Cavs floor and the other designs?
So that's like the city edition, right? Like that's what they're going to use.
Very similar, very similar,
right? Because I saw the court, but I didn't know it was tied into the play-in tournament. I thought it was just like the city edition court that they do every year.
No,
it could just be.
It is just for the in-season tournament. Every team has a different court for the in-season tournament. And then I saw the city edition, which just came out. They released the pictures of the uniforms and the court for the city edition. But yeah, they've got these alternate courts. Madison, had you seen the graphic or the posting from the NBA about that? And if so, what are your thoughts on that?
I have. I do like our court. I just bought the land shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
Dude, last year's was so good.
I didn't love it initially, but it really has grown on me. And now this is my favorite sweatshirt that I own. But yeah, I think the court's nice. The city edition, I think they're wearing the jerseys Friday, right? With the court is my understanding. I thought
that would make sense because it's Friday and Tuesday nights for the play-in tournament game, right?
Yeah. So I mean the jerseys I thought were a little bland. I think across the league, the city edition jerseys for the most part. But actually, like the close-up view and all that they did today, I thought was a little better than my initial reaction to those jerseys.
Yeah, I kind of, I like the jerseys themselves. I know it's paying homage to Playhouse Square a little bit, and that's really cool. I like that. Last year was the Metro Parks. Mm-hmm. This year they're kind of paying homage to Playhouse Square, all big parts of Cleveland. And that's pretty cool that they've integrated those types of things. Obviously, I don't know about some of these other cities. For me, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. I think that's what it is. Like all this change and different.
Not this time.
I don't know, man. I get confused. I'm easily confused.
No, I think you have the same opinion that a lot of young people honestly have. Like, I don't know if I want to speak for young people. I'm 26. Is that young?
Relative to me, yes, it is. Yes,
you geezer, you.
Yes,
well, let me tell you, man, dude. I don't know. On Twitter, at least this is where I'm getting all my information and data from. Everybody hates the city edition jerseys. Like, people are really upset with it, especially people who are on Twitter who are creative, who are like you're just like pushing out crap every single year. And I think that like what the MLB is doing is honestly probably the way to go. Where every year they pick 4 or 5 teams where they get a City Connect jersey or something like that. And like it's every few years because like these teams are forced to come up with these city edition jerseys where the whole point of it was to create a jersey that relates to the city and the ties to the city, where maybe some cities just, I don't know if they don't have a good creative director or maybe there's just not that many things you can do within the city, where they're just getting really bland and really boring with it, where I think we've done an awesome job. I think every single year, like I've truly loved all of our city edition jerseys. I think the one that I didn't really like the most was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one, which honestly was still pretty sick. The black one with all the different lettering.
Right.
Because if you knew, it was all like famous rock bands that were like the letters of it. And like, I think that's pretty cool. And then like the National Parks one that we did, where we have this awesome national parks in our backyard. Like, I think we do a really good job tying it into the city, and that trim. Oh, it's so good. That trim on our new ones this year. I love it.
Yeah, I think I saw those on some yarmulkes at my synagogue. It's coming off. No, so that aside, no, but seriously, my thought process when I see all of it, and this is just, you tell me if I'm off base here, but I get to that point where I'm like, they're all just trying to make more money. They're just putting out merchandise and people will buy it up. It's all about the money. Grumpy old man stuff here. But as Madison said, she likes, she's got her favorite. It works. It does. They have done their job. So, all right, let me ask you about a couple of changes down at the Romo Fijo. All right. And this might be, contributing to our our injuries, guys, maybe being a little bit too comfy to go to the bench. I see they got some new seats in the bench area, Roy, with some heat, massage, recline features.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So is that like, do other teams have that? Is that like a thing?
I am not sure, to be honest, but that it's going to happen.
That's a recruiting tactic. We're trying to get free agents to come here, baby. And guess what? The chairs during, when you're sitting down on the bench, that matters. We're trying to wine and dine.
Exactly. Well, Madison, I mean, I know we've all been watching this. Like LeBron, that seat cushion he sits on, it's like 5 feet tall. I'm like, dude, what is up with that? They just need to get some better chairs.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting up there. He's got to maintain his body. So whatever it takes for him to stay out on the floor, if it's sitting at a 5-foot level above everybody else, that's what he's got to do.
Oh, Factory of Sadness chimes in. Massages are only allowed for Browns quarterbacks. Low blow. No, it's all good. But yeah, I found that funny. I was watching the opening game in Cleveland and seeing them talk about those seats on the bench, and I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at them and I'm like, am I going to the mall? Am I going to get a shiatsu massage or something like that? I don't know what's happening there. And I'm thinking they're just too comfortable. I mean, think about Vince Lombardi. He didn't give them like the heaters on the sideline because he didn't want them to sit down. He wanted them to get back in the game.
So if that's where we're drawing the line, then we should have drawn our line at some of these locker rooms and practice facilities.
I think so. They need to be far worse. They just need to be far worse. It should be like Major League with the non-working hot tubs and dirty laundry.
Well, hang on. You might have made a point because Clemson, ever since they built that slide, how many national championships have they won? They got a barbershop in their place.
That's a problem. But apparently they're not. If we go by what Dabo says, maybe they're not spending enough time in the chapel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's got some all-time quotes.
He's got something.
Image and likeness of God. That was an all-timer.
Yeah, he's got something. So the Cavs coming up here are going to be playing Indiana on Friday night, and a chance to get back to 500. I don't know what the latest is on the injury bug, but again, I was having this discussion the other day. The soft tissue injuries, do the Cavs? I know they've got obviously their training staff, their medical staff. It seems like we need someone who works with like ballet dancers because they have to be so flexible and all the stretching. Do you think, just a hypothesis here, that maybe these athletes are doing so much in the way of lifting and various vitamins and supplements that maybe they are working their muscles and bodies too much, and therefore they're losing the flexibility and as such are getting these soft tissue injuries?
You want to take that, Madison?
I mean, I
didn't play college ball.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak from my personal experience. Granted, I don't have soft tissue injuries necessarily, but like I literally was told by my trainer that there was nothing she could do for me. And it was 100% true. It's just the reality. Like I have no cartilage. You can't replace the cartilage unless, I have surgery. But that's a different story than the soft tissue injuries. But I mean, I think a lot of times it gets put on athletic trainers. Maybe we should hit up my GA friend from graduate school that is a trainer for the Browns for this question.
We definitely should. We absolutely. Madison, have you been holding out on us this whole time?
I haven't talked to him in a bit, but I can reach out. Maybe we'll DM him.
You're holding out. And because according to most people, like Factory of Sadness, they say they're soft, which is kind of the mentality. And my thought is, okay, well, let me go down this road. One is it didn't seem like, and maybe it's because we didn't have the internet and all of the news outlet, quote unquote, news outlets to know what was going on day by day, hour by hour with a player in their injury report. It seemed like that we just it didn't happen as much, or we just didn't know about it, or it happened and they just played through it. And I don't know what it is. Why all of a sudden it's always, they've got to tight their hamstring. Their calf is a little tight. They felt something. I'm like, I just, I question that. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But I definitely think, Madison, we've got to get your friend on.
Yeah.
To talk about this because
I will say, I did pull in my adult soccer league. I pulled a hip flexor to the point where I could barely lift my leg to my chest, like my knee to my chest on Monday. And by Wednesday, I was running. So, like, you just don't know, you know?
Exactly.
Day to day. Everybody's day to day.
Oh, for crying out loud. Day to day. Are you kidding me? Did you really pull out the day to day?
I had to. I was day to day. And by Wednesday,
you were day to day. You know what? I'm day to day. I don't know. I guess that's what my answer should be every morning. How you doing? I'm day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. So moving on. So we talk some Cavs here. Got things going on. Let's talk about the Clowns. Okay. Last Sunday, the Browns march into Seattle and come out looking like poop. Okay. Let's all just say it. We know what we're thinking. They looked terrible to open that game. They fall down 14-0 early. Ultimately, they came roaring back, had the lead 20-17 going on late in the game, and we're doing this with our essentially practice squad, PJ Walker. And, I mean, I watched that game, and obviously, if you take away the end and, the end of it and the beginning of it, and you have a really strong performance. With all things considered, what was your, you guys, Madison, your impression of the game? The result, and not just the result, but the overall tenor of the game. And then I'd love your thoughts, Troy, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Browns to lose last week.
Yes, you did.
So my expectations were low when we got down 14-0. They were lower than low.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a really long day. And then they come back, they take a lead, and you're like, okay, well, like, this is one we should walk away with at this point. Like, I see Factory of Sadness's comment. Like you have the lead, you're expecting to win at that point. So then, even though my hopes were not high, now I'm disappointed. So that is my reaction.
That is right. Troy, did you get a chance? I think I'm trying to think. Were the Cavs playing on Sunday? And if not, were you able to catch the game?
No, they just played Friday and Saturday, and they were
okay. That's right.
So I had the game up on my iPad, but one thing you'll learn about me is that I'm a video game nerd, and I was playing Alan Wake 2, which recently came out, which is an awesome game. I won't get into it, but I had the game on the side. But with PJ Walker in, I think it's you go in and you expect the worst, but when it doesn't turn out to be the worst, you're just like, oh, that was actually pretty fun. I don't think that you can sit there and bank on wins with having a practice squad quarterback on your team. I think Deshaun Watson did practice today, but I felt like the whole situation was kind of a little weirdly handled, where Deshaun Watson was saying, I'm not ready to play. Like, I can't get the force behind it. But then the coaching staff, I think, was just saying like, well, he's medically cleared. I feel like that was just like a weird way of handling it. And I'm just like, you'd think that they would have their guys back where it's like, yeah, he was medically cleared, but like, he's not able to get that strength into the ball. Like, where if you saw his interceptions, it was because he was not getting no strength into that ball. So like, I kind of see where they're coming from. And we saw like real life footage of it where it's like, he wasn't getting it to the guy in time. He was open. It just didn't get there in time. And that could be, he's not, actually throwing it soon enough. I don't know. But I feel like he was actually injured, and it was just a weird situation.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, and it really has been a complete botch by everyone involved as to how they have handled this whole situation. Yeah. First of all, they used the term medically cleared, and everybody ran with it.
Yeah.
After the game, the Baltimore thing, you had Kevin essentially throwing Watson under the bus. Then Watson sits a week. They get the bye week, he sits a week, and then he comes out in Indianapolis and he stinks, right? And he gets conveniently has something happen on a play, and conveniently he's taken out of the game. And if you saw it today, Deshaun was being interviewed by the media this morning and essentially said, I jumped the gun a bit. I was too eager to get out there and I wasn't ready. And Factory of Sadness, no one on this team is held accountable for decisions or results. Who's in charge? And that's a very good point. seems like that last week and the week before, in the Colts game, they kind of took charge and said, sit down. You're not looking right. You need to sit down. You're not going to sit here and tell us you're all right when you're clearly not. Sit down. And I think we need to see more of that. And I think that was a good decision last week to not play him against Seattle. If he is not ready to play this week, then don't play him. I think we're going to have to do without him. I mean, injury is an injury, and it sucks, and you don't want to be without your QB1, but you got to do what you got to do to make sure that he's healthy going forward. I guess is my opinion, because we have to have better quarterback play. If the Browns are going to have any success, they've got to have better quarterback play. And really, you need above average or above average. You don't even need, Pro Bowl quarterback this season. But you can't keep turning the ball over. As Madison, I know you have hit on. You are 100% right about the turnovers.
I do kind of feel like PJ Walker's been average. I mean, I know he's turned the ball over, but like he's made some throws to counter that. Like the one to Elijah Moore the other week was
good. That was good. But I think the thing is, he's not. I would say he's almost average. I think if you take away the turnovers, I'd give him average. I'd give him slightly above average.
I just think we may need to reframe our thinking that we only need average quarterback play.
Okay, so
our defenses look bad.
They're not holding up their end of the bargain at the end of the game. For like 3 straight weeks now, they've given up drives at the end of the game when it matters. So,
that is fair.
And they've done great outside of that, so I don't want to like harp on them. But
that is fair.
But you're right.
When you're right, you're right. I mean, no, I was reading Jim Schwartz's comments today because today was coordinator day.
Yeah.
With the press. And, I mean, he's talking about, they were asking him about the beginning of games, how they haven't looked good and they've let other teams get off the fast starts. And he's talking about, needing to make some tweaks and this, that, and the other. I mean, obviously the Seahawks got a super fast start. And then he adjusted and they held him in check for 7 straight possessions, a couple interceptions, some punts. They were doing great. But that last drive, so for all the people that were pissed off, including myself, the defense still had a chance to make that stop. They could have at least held them to a field goal.
Exactly.
And they got torched. And it's bad. And I think that what Jim Schwartz talks about is there are guys that are not essentially, not just doing their job. They're trying to do more than they should. And that causes breakdowns. And we've seen that in the past under other D coordinators. No names, please. And, it's just you can't have that. Guys got to stay in their lane. Because if you get someone who's running around with their head cut off and missing an assignment, we're hosed. We are absolutely hosed. But, yeah, I don't know. So, I guess the other question that's been asked, do you guys think that the Browns defense now, Jim Schwartz's defense, is getting, quote unquote, and I use the term loosely, figured out?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like no, because like if he's just getting figured out that quick, I feel like they would have had it right away. I feel like maybe they're just trying to do too much, knowing Deshaun's out, because. The first half of the season when they were on that historic, first 4 or 5 game run. I don't know.
They were on a good pace.
Yeah, like it was when Deshaun Watson was in, where they might have felt a lot more confident, or felt like they didn't need to do too much, and maybe that's why people aren't executing, in their own role, because they're trying to do too much, knowing who's playing at quarterback. That's the one thing I can think of, and I thought about that on the spot, and I think I did a pretty good job. If you ask me, I'm no analyst.
Are you Barry Horowitz from the old WWF? You got to give yourself a pat on the back.
Sure, dude. I totally know who that is. You're not dating yourself there, brother.
Now, Madison, I don't know. I mean, do you think they're being figured out, or do you think it's just a matter of guys not being in the right spots?
I mean, I guess Potentially they've been scripted against like that first drive, but they do adjust generally pretty well throughout the game. I mean, maybe like the Indianapolis game is an exception, but they put up points somehow on everybody, it seems like. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, the end of the game stuff, like, I do think there are teams that use their aggressiveness against them for sure. I think for the most part, they've adjusted a bit to that. I think the run defense is becoming a bit of a problem and a concern again for me. And I don't know that we've necessarily nailed that down, but I don't know if that's like we've been figured out or if we're just not hitting the spots we need to hit.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess time will tell on that front, but the run game is the concern for me on the defensive side of the ball. And now we've got some injuries, although I didn't see, was Newsome back today?
He was not, and he's the only person that I've seen that may not be able to go. I mean, DeJuan Jones was back. He's offensive line, but he was limited. I didn't see anybody else that was specifically unable to, DNP'd for practice. And taking a look here, I just wanted to see if I could find anything about Jim Schwartz that, because they talked about the red zone defense. Obviously, through the first 3-4 games, nobody got to the red zone. So that was fantastic. And now, obviously, when you have fewer opportunities, opponents do, and they score on them, the percentage is a lot higher. But I was just trying to look here and see if there was something that he specifically said. They talked about, is going for they didn't have turnovers in the first few games. So there was a question about, are they trying to get the turnovers and as such sacrificing in other areas? It'll certainly be an interesting matchup this week. We are either potentially, neither team knows who's going to be under center.
That's true.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
At least outside the building, we don't know, because the Browns are dealing with the Deshaun Watson situation. Hopefully, maybe by tomorrow we'll know. And then over in Arizona, they trade Josh Dobbs, and we'll move into the trade deadline moves or lack thereof here in a moment. But they trade Josh Dobbs to Minnesota. Minnesota obviously was in need, losing Kirk Cousins to a season-ending Achilles injury. And so they've either got rookie Clayton Tune, a fifth rounder, just like DTR, or Kyler Murray may be coming back from his knee injury last year. So it remains to be seen who we're going to be up against. I don't know about you, but I'll take my chances facing Clayton Tune. I don't want to see Kyler Murray, even if he's a bit rusty. I think he could cause problems because of his ability to run. And that's been a bit of a kryptonite for the Browns so far.
I can't imagine they want to roll Murray out there with the defensive line we have. He might be running for his life.
He sure might be. He sure might be, but he has looked good against the Browns.
When's Call of Duty come out?
That is exactly right. Troy,
I think it's like next weekend, so I think we missed it by a week.
Yeah, you're going to have to find his online username since you're the video game guy. And you're going to have to start asking him to play Call of Duty if the Browns are on the schedule, or
Saturday night.
There it is.
I'll donate to him. Stay up, dude.
Real nice. So a lot of people were I don't know about you guys, a lot of people were upset with the Browns' moves or the lack thereof at the trade deadline. A lot of people were clamoring for, let's go get another quarterback. Let's go get. Some people said, we should bring Josh Dobbs back. Let's go get Jacoby Brissett. There was a lot of that chatter going on. And then ultimately we do none of that. Couldn't get a right price on anything in particular that we knew of. We trade DPJ to Detroit for a 6th round pick. We drafted him as a 6th round pick. I think that, I know it's a 6th round pick. More likely than not, you're not going to get a Pro Bowler out of that. But we were going to be at a point where we had to pay him, if we wanted to keep him next year. So at least this way, he gets to move on. He goes back to Detroit, where he's from. We get a 6th round pick back, and we don't have that. We don't lose him for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad to lose DPJ, but he gets to go home. So good for him. He just was a victim of the quarterback situation this year. I mean, he was close to 1,000-yard receiver last year, which that kind of sucks, because we probably, if we don't have the quarterback situation we're in, he potentially has more yards because the backup is not looking at wide receiver number 3. They're looking at 1, 2, and the tight end. And yeah,
Right.
it's just the victim of the situation.
Exactly. And apparently, actually, I missed this. The trade on Donovan Peoples-Jones was let's see. Oh no, he's saying a bag of chips. Factory of Sadness chiming. A bag of chips is better than a 6th round pick. Well, it's not exactly going to do good for your health either way. No,
What kind of chips?
Chips. What kind of chips?
That's a real question. What kind of chips? I mean,
that
we're
is
talking Ruffles, sour cream, and cheddar. Then
that is a good question. That does make a difference as to what kind of chips you're getting out of this deal. Because if you're just getting crappy Lay's, I mean, first of all, is that not crazy how good Lay's are when they are such?
Are you talking like regular?
Just plain Lay's. Regular Lay's potato chips are amazingly good for what they are. But then it's like,
you're not going to see me eating a plain potato chip.
Well, I get it. But it's one of those things. And I'm not eating many potato chips myself, but you're right. The sour cream and cheddar is solid. The Ruffles sour cream and cheddar is definitely solid. I'm more of a Dorito Cheetos kind of guy in my chip loving days. Let's see. We've got some more factory salad. Regular Lay's is still greater than a 6th round pick.
That made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie.
That's good stuff. That is good stuff. But not much, in all of this. And there was talk before the trade deadline about maybe should we bolster the running game? Maybe we should do this or that. I think things that maybe fans were also kind of perturbed by is what San Francisco was able to do. They got Chase Young for a 3rd round pick. I mean, they're already loaded. They've got Hargraves. They've got Bosa. I mean, they've got a stacked defensive line, yet they went out and added talent. So I guess the question is this. Madison, what do you think? Do you think that they just looked, we don't need this, and we're not going to be willing to, to give up a draft pick for someone who's a rental?
Yeah, potentially. I know I mentioned to you in a text, like it feels like people just aren't willing to do business with the Browns. Like it takes 2 to tango. And, obviously we heard a lot about how they're upset about the Watson deal and like people don't want to work with the Browns. And it does kind of feel like the last 2 deadlines have been a little, just underwhelming. And I don't think it's for a lack of trying on the Browns' part. I really don't. Like it takes 2 to tango. And if there's a similar offer, like they're going to go the other way. I think like that's just kind of how it is. I would have not personally spent draft capital on a half year of Chase Young because you're not going to re-sign him. There's no way we don't have the cap space. So I would not have done that. He is good, but like I just like we need help elsewhere. Like we really needed wide receiver help, and I like to think that they had those picks tied up for a receiver that never materialized more so than like we were really in on Young, but.
Right. And nothing really went down in terms of the receiver market.
Yeah, kind of surprising.
So, on a lot of fronts. So there was, a lot of talk, but not exactly a lot of action at the trade deadline for anybody. So taking a look here, the Browns are 4-3. Technically, they are still, they would, if the season ended today, they would be the number 7 seed in the AFC. And let's see here. We're going back to the trade deadline talk here. It's, it's their fault and no one else has made their bed and now they must lie in it. Speaking of the Watson decision and, the choice to sign him to the contract, et cetera. So it's a fair point. We don't know. It certainly could be, people could have been ticked about what we did and how we went about it. But you know what? We got to take care of ourselves. Our franchise can't worry about what other teams are going to think of you.
The one thing we've been missing since the start of time
is a quarterback. Is a bona fide quarterback.
Like, hey, we just need to guarantee something.
Well, look.
And how's it worked out so far?
It's awesome. So good. It's the most Browns thing ever.
It is the most Browns thing ever. It's as I've heard, the OIC, only in Cleveland type curse. But the Browns are 4-3 right now. Yeah, exactly. OIC. Baltimore's in control. They're at 6-2. They've got the Seahawks at home this week. I don't think the Seattle's going to give them any trouble. I having seen that the Browns almost took them down with PJ Walker at the controls and very little, I would say, offensive firepower. I mean, they obviously moved the ball. They scored some touchdowns. They had some good screen game, but I think Baltimore's on a different level. So I'm pretty sure Baltimore's got that one. Pittsburgh's hanging in there 4-3, but now they're back to Mitch Trubisky at least for this week. And I don't know if they've got enough.
I thought Pickett was going to play. Did he get ruled out?
And well, maybe I'm wrong. I just was going throughout
tonight, the week. Right? It's in 30 minutes.
It is 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I have missed this. I don't know. So let's see. Wait, what do we got here about the Browns?
Could be a Watson situation.
Yep. Like I said last time, 10,000 lakes in Minnesota, but we've had 10,000 quarterbacks since 1999. All right. That's enough. No. And then Cincinnati, look out. Here they come. They're 4-3, won 4 in a row, and they're looking a lot better than
Joe Burrow's back.
Joe Burrow's back. All right. So taking a look at this now, where everything stands, are the Browns going to end up finishing in 3rd or last in the division?
Not last.
I mean, probably not going to be last. I agree, but I mean, I wouldn't surprise me sitting at 3rd. I mean, you like the way that the Ravens were able to click 2 weeks ago was scary, to say the very least. And they still are dealing with injuries at running back, and they're able to do that. And then Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow, I personally think that he's up there with, the top 3 best quarterbacks in the league. Like, I truly think that, him and Mahomes are going to be, the 2 guys going at it for a very, very long time. I just think when you have Joe Burrow on your team, like, that you're never out of it, no matter what. And he was dealing with injuries, and now it seems like he's healthy again. And now it's watch out, watch him go.
Yeah, and as Madison, your thoughts, but as Factory of Sadness says, we are in trouble and probably fighting Pittsburgh for 3rd. But yeah, I don't know, Madison. Do you think that, in as much as Joe Burrow is playing well now, we talked at the beginning of the season about going into the opener about the Browns kind of having somehow, some way, seeming to quote unquote have the number of Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Do you think that's still true, or do you think they can get over that mental hurdle?
I mean, if we're just talking about the Bengals, then I mean, I would be a little surprised to sweep them this year, I think, personally. But yeah. I mean, in the division, like, we have the cupcake schedule compared to everybody else. Like, in theory, on paper, everything's on paper in our world over here. But like, Cincinnati's got some tough games. They have a tough one this weekend, I believe.
They're playing the Bills.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I mean, Baltimore's got some tough games to close out the season. So, like, if you take care of business, like, the whole $1 million question is, like, who's going to be our quarterback?
It is.
If it's who we think it should be, is he looking like he looked in Tennessee? Or is he looking like he's looked every other game he's put a Browns uniform on? So, like, it's just an unknown at this point, unfortunately.
That is it. That is definitely, like we were talking about, the $1 million question, and that's it's tough to be in quarterback purgatory.
Yeah.
It really is. Again, exactly. So that's what's going on with the Browns. I'll be there on Sunday. We'll do it live. Don't write it.
Do it live.
And we'll do it live. Okay. and we'll see what this Browns team is made of. It's a game. It's a must win. It is a must win because you have to take care of business. This is the type of opponent that good teams need to beat. You can't screw around. And so
good teams win, great teams cover.
There you go.
There it is. So moving along in other football news, college football in the Buckeye State. The Buckeyes, with a win last week, Saturday night at Wisconsin, not exactly an impressive victory. When you look at the scoreboard, they win 24-10. McCord looks rather 17 of 26, 226 for 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But you got Marvin Harrison is just amazing. 6 catches, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Travion Henderson, that was a welcome sighting in the backfield. 24 24 carries, 162 yards, and a touchdown. So Ohio State gets the win in Minnesota. And so they've had a couple of quote unquote good wins. When you look at, where teams are ranked, they beat Penn State at home, they beat Notre Dame on the road. The college football playoff, the first rankings come out. Lo and behold, Ohio State is one, followed by Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State. Were you guys shocked that the committee put Ohio State at one?
Ooh. See, I don't think I'm shocked.
Really?
I think they had the best schedule, the best strength of schedule. At least looking at the win over Notre Dame and then beating Penn State. Like, Penn State's a good football team. I know they didn't really look like it against Ohio State. It was really just a sloppy game in general. But I know that the offense is scary, and it's been a long time since Ohio State. It's kind of been flip-flopped, where we have a really good defense and a pretty average offense.
Right.
But if you compare the stats, with Kyle McCord, he's, up there with a lot of the top quarterbacks in the country. And I'm so excited because I'm a defensive guy, and Ohio State hasn't had, a real top 5 defense in a very long time. And I think that's really kind of what we've been missing for a while. And I'm personally really excited about it, but I think it's a strength of schedule where I don't really know too much about Georgia. But if Michigan keeps winning games, depending on if the cheating scandal is involved in that, if they end up winning out and, before the game against Ohio State and Michigan and they beat all their ranked opponents, I don't see why not. I know what they face Penn State. Actually, I might be wrong because they actually have a really easy schedule, right? Because they were supposed to face Texas or something like that. And then they backed out of it because they're like, oh, snap, we're going to be good. We got to schedule some cupcakes. I'm not a Michigan fan. I hope you aren't, Madison. Should I be calling you Madison? Should I call you Maddie? What do you prefer?
I go by all things. I go by Madison generally, but all my teammates call me Mad. I'm not normally called Maddie, but I do respond to it.
Okay, Mad.
You don't respond well to it. You didn't say you responded well to it. You just said you responded to it. There's a different story here, Madison.
Yeah, no, I'm in North Carolina base, so I'm a North Carolina fan for college. But
okay, right, gotcha.
We have our own.
So screw Michigan. Michigan stinks. We all hate Michigan.
Yes, that's the general consensus here. And as I sit here and try to find quickly the Big Ten schedule, Michigan's schedule, the other games, they are home to Purdue, on the road at Penn State, on the road at Maryland, and then home to Ohio State on the 25th to close out the season. But
yes, they haven't faced nobody.
Right. So it's not they have not had a tough road. And Georgia, they've looked convincing, but I don't think they've really faced any tough tests. For as big of the talk is about the SEC, a lot of times it doesn't seem like they do a lot of great scheduling outside of conference.
And yeah, but it's also because their conference is arguably the best in the country. When you're facing LSU, Texas A&M, those bigger schools, Alabama, Georgia, right. When you're facing Florida, I mean, those bigger schools, you're facing them when they're ranked. It's like, that's probably why.
It could be. It could be. But, you touched on this, Troy, about what's going on in Michigan. So let me, think out loud and ask this. All right. The evidence certainly looks like Michigan had the scouts out. They kind of knew what Ohio, specifically related to Ohio State, the past couple of years. They kind of knew what they were going to do, and could get the personnel in the right alignment to stop the play. And so I guess, what, if anything, can be done to them this season, Madison? And how much does it help, Madison? When you've scouted teams, and you're getting ready, you're watching game film, you're doing it the proper way.
Oh, we're allowed to scout in person.
Okay, well, you are, but that's basketball. That's basketball, a little different.
It's different.
Yeah. A little bit different, but you kind of know what sets your opponent is going to run. Mm-hmm. Were you able to decode and kind of figure out, look, if the person comes up and they hold up one finger, you kind of have, what they're going to run?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, and that kind of goes both ways. And obviously that's not breaking any rules per se, but how helpful is it to kind of know, hey, they're going to pass the ball here, and this is where this person's going to try and cut to the back door? How helpful is that?
Yeah, I guess maybe a little bit where basketball differs is like if you're good at your job in play design, you have options off
Right.
of that for when it gets taken away. But like that's if you're good at your job. And if you're playing someone not good at their job, then you take away that first option. No one really knows what to do. So I mean it is helpful to know what they're going to do because I mean you practice and prepare for the plays that they run most often. Like that's what every coach is doing at any sport, any level, right? So they're preparing for those specific plays, and you're setting yourself, your guys up to handle that type of situation. So they've seen it X amount of times before they go into a game on a Saturday and see it live and in person. So they should be prepared. It should help them. Does it always like? I mean, you kind of hear, right? Like after, they figured out they couldn't scout in person, like they get walloped in the playing games because they didn't know who to scout. They didn't know who they'd play. And, like obviously they lost an advantage there, right? Because they did not show up in the same way they had showed up before. So it certainly gives you a bit of an advantage.
Right. So the question is, if they've got all this hanging over them, let's say they can't do anything this year. Michigan wins out. They win the Big Ten championship. Let's say, heck, they win the, they proceed to win the national championship. Now, I guess at this point you're hoping or thinking that this has stopped. Whatever was going on has been stopped. But like, how can you let them do that knowing that they have kind of gotten themselves in advantageous positions to get there? But then you either A, you don't do anything about it and they have all the success, and something comes of it. Well, then you've screwed other teams because the season's over.
Yeah, but they vacate the championship, so it doesn't.
Who cares? Who cares? They vacated. It's like, I won the game. You can't I beat your butt on the field.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but it's a retroactive punishment, no matter what. Like that's how the
I've ever
NCAA
heard.
rolls. I saw them vacate wins for a Division III national champion because they let someone who tore an ACL stay with the coach so she could get around the house. They vacated their wins. They have no remorse.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
No remorse, yeah. Kind of sad.
So that means Ohio State hasn't lost to Michigan in like over a decade.
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah, there it is.
Because I was at that game. Was it last year? I think it was last year, right? The one was at home. I was there. Oh. I took my dad and my sister to that game.
I'm sorry.
And it was miserable.
What?
And now it all makes sense.
I know. I mean, the fact that the coverage was so busted so many times, I don't know if they knew what was coming or if they were just outplayed. I will say, I mean, we looked terrible in those games. And if it was because they knew what was coming and we're like, we're going to call the perfect play, they're going to blitz here. We're going to take advantage of that and throw a screen pass. We're going to get, this guy's going to be wide open. Yeah. And it was awful. So,
but hang on, TV timeout real quick. Can we talk about how hilarious this scandal is? Like, it is unbelievable how awesome this is. And I think it's like,
look at the sunglasses at night.
Right. Oh my gosh. And then like him, like the guy going out of bounds and he was like covering up his face, like knowing that like, and like at first I thought the Central Michigan thing was a bunch of BS, but then the coach came out was like, nah, we have no record of that guy. We don't know who his name is. Like we no record of him on our sideline. Like we're investigating it. I'm like,
the coach from Michigan.
Like
the coach from Michigan has no idea who he is.
Right?
Sure.
And like, why would you lie about that? Like, that's just trying to get yourself into more hot water if like you knew about it, So like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's not good. It is not a good look for Michigan. And from what I heard, I listened to Paul I was listening to Paul Feinbaum this morning on ESPN 850, and he was talking about, I mean, they were the conjecture about will he actually be back at Michigan next year? And I don't think he might want to get the heck out of Dodge. And
the Bears.
Yeah, well, there you go. He might go to the Bears. I don't know. The Bears. So we shall see.
Coaches right now, they're firing guys and losing guys for various reasons right now.
Oy vey, that's a disaster out there. They've had just as much of an issue with finding a quarterback as the Browns have had. They maybe not quite as high of a number, but they are definitely up there. They are definitely up there. So we shall see. how that all goes. So real quickly, let's go around the league here. Troy, we like to do a little pick'em segment here called Who You Got. And we're going to go through the games real quick. And if you'd like to give us your best thoughts, selections, we're going to do a little Who You Got.
This isn't any way sorts of gambling, is it? We're just seeing who's going to win, right?
We're just picking who we think will win. That's it. This is all fun and games.
Cool.
No gambling.
No gambling on the NBA.
No. And this is NFL. You are an employee of the
Hear that, Adam? Not this guy.
Nice. All right. So tonight, Thursday Night Football, I'd actually be interested in seeing this game, but I'm not going to subscribe to Amazon. So it's not happening.
Stream East, baby.
Street. Yeah. All right. I could do that. I could do that. That's not illegal or anything. No, Tennessee at the Steelers. Tough place to play. Crappy Shore Stadium. And the Titans are coming in off of a win. Will Levis coming in for an injured Ryan Tannehill, throwing 4 tutties in his first ever career start. Troy, Tennessee at Pittsburgh. Who you got?
Tennessee's found their future quarterback, Will Levis, baby. He's
All
there.
right.
He's their guy. And I love it after seeing that draft day. You know, him falling back and everybody feeling bad for him. And now his ex-girlfriend at the time getting super famous on TikTok and then leaving his ass. And now he has this game with 4 touchdowns, his family in the stands. It was like picture perfect. And I am rooting for this guy. So I'm picking Tennessee.
All right, Madison, Tennessee at Pittsburgh. Who you got?
I was a little tough on Will Levis last week. Didn't think a rookie quarterback in his first start would do too much. Yet he threw for 4 touchdowns. So I will take Tennessee. I don't know if I'm leading with my heart on this one instead of my head.
You're rolling with the hot hand there, and I went Tennessee as well. I thought with the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh, if Will Levis plays anything like he did last week, they've got a chance. They certainly have a chance, and I certainly hope they win as well.
True.
Next up, Sunday morning from Frankfurt, we have Miami against the Chefs. Madison, who you got? Dolphins and Chiefs.
Last week, I did joke about whether Taylor Swift was going to be there or not making a difference. Turns out it made a difference. I'm going to go Dolphins because I don't think she makes the trip to Germany. She's about to go on tour. So I don't think she can be there, but maybe she will. I'll still stick with the Dolphins for now.
Troy, who you got? Dolphins against the Chiefs from Frankfurt.
So I'm taking this from another sports personality, Big Cat. Dolphins are on fraud watch. Look at their wins. They've beat nothing but bad teams, and the teams that they've faced that are good, they've lost to. So if they don't win here on Sunday morning, they could be fraudulent. So they are on fraud watch. So I'm taking the Chiefs.
Taking the Chefs. All right.
The Broncos.
True. So they're due. They're not going to lose twice in a row. I bet you there's some crazy statistic that Patrick Mahomes hasn't lost 2 games in a row since he was in high school.
Oh, wow. No.
Wow. Well,
I should have known that before I based my pick off Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I'm just assuming it is.
Yeah. And I should have known that as well. No, I'm going with the Dolphins. I felt like the Chiefs did look really bad. I thought maybe it was a one-off, but I for whatever reason, I don't know. But for some reason, I went with the Dolphins, and we'll see.
Ooh.
It's going to be
another thing on this game. The Chiefs had a messed up travel schedule or something like that. Travel got messed up.
So you're going out on a limb with a bad travel schedule and everything. You're going out on a limb. I see how it is. There we go. We've got next up. We've got the Vikings with Jaron Hall under center at the Falcons with Taylor Heineke. Troy, who you got?
I mean, it's the Falcons. Come on now.
Arthur
Smith.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's the man with that crappy mustache. All right. Madison, who you got?
I think I will also take the Falcons, but not because I believe in them only because they benched Ritter finally, I guess. So, let's roll with it. I love Taylor Heineke from his Panthers days. So
there you go. There you go. I'm going to make that a clean sweep. I just feel like Minnesota's going to be a bit down, and the uncertainty and, inexperience at quarterback is going to be difficult to overcome. Next up, we've got Seattle at Baltimore at the Ravens. Madison, based on what you've seen, who you got?
I think I still have to go Baltimore, although I don't really feel great about it. But they tend to like really sweep the games that you expect to be close, and like the close ones they win, or the ones you expect to be blowouts they win by a small margin.
Right.
So I will still go with the Ravens.
All right, Troy, who you got?
I got the Ravens. What do you know what the spread is on this one?
I have no idea what any of the spreads are. Like I said, no gambling here, Troy. No
Yeah,
gambling.
the NFL I'm a lot of gamble on, not the
Oh,
NBA.
okay. Yeah, well,
you better
I'm
believe
also-
we're in there, baby.
I'm very frugal. I'm very frugal.
All right, fair
It's
enough.
not
I'm
legal
going
in this-
Ravens. Come on. What are
Yeah.
we talking about here?
Exactly. So you got Baltimore as well. I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I just, after seeing what the Seahawks did against the Browns, I don't have the faith that they're going to be able to beat the Ravens, even though we really need them to beat the Ravens and we'd like them to beat the Ravens. We will come back to the Browns and the Cardinals at the end. Next up, we've got the Rams with an injured Matthew Stafford at Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Troy, who you got?
Packers stink. Let's go Rams.
All right. I feel you. Madison, who you got?
I also agree. I will take the Rams.
And again, clean sweep. Rams it is.
We got a bunch of people that know what they're talking about here.
We're all going to have a terrible record, which
you know what?
occasionally
Madison,
happens.
last week,
No.
Madison, you went 12-4 last week. I went 11-5. So that's got to be some of our best.
It was a makeup from the week before. Let's not talk about that.
Are you keeping my records?
I'm going to write it down. You're a guest picker here. It's kind of like on college.
I better know. I want to figure this out.
I'll let you know, Troy. All right. Next up, we have got the Buccaneers at the Texans. Madison, who you got?
I feel like I want to roll with the Texans. I know they just lost, but I still like Stroud, so I will go with the Texans.
And Troy, who you got?
Yep, I'm with Texans. Stroud boys, stand up.
Yep, I feel like they are ahead of schedule. CJ Stroud is certainly playing very well in the early season and kind of shutting up some critics, people who might have had questions. Exactly. The Ohio State University.
Finally, we got a decent quarterback in the NFL. He's taking us to the promised land.
Yeah, he might. He is playing very well, and I also
quarterback recruits will get after that.
That would be fantastic. That's what we really need. I'm curious about how all this is going to play out over the next few years at the quarterback position. But I'm also going with the Texans. I just feel like they're playing well. CJ Stroud is doing a good job. D'Amico Ryan's great coach. This coaching job this season. And I'm not looking forward to the Browns having to go down there because now this is looking like a much tougher game than it was when the schedule came out.
Yeah.
Was that another sweep?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Did we all take the Texans?
Yep.
We all took the Texans.
Oh,
Next
boy.
up. Yeah, I know. This is not good. Don't worry. We'll come up to some stuff that we don't all go in on. Next up, we've got the Commanders at the Patriots. Patriots with a big, they had a victory a couple weeks ago over Buffalo. Last week kind of came back down to earth again. Troy, Commanders at Patriots. Who you got?
Give me the Commanders.
All right,
you're going everybody out. Everybody's playing for their job.
Playing for
a paycheck.
Exactly. Madison, Washington at New England. Who you got?
I, on one hand, have a lot of concerns because they did ship out their two top DNs, right? But their defense wasn't great anyways before that. So maybe it won't really make a difference. But they did look good against the Eagles. So I might take Commanders on that one.
All right. Madison, for the Commanders, I'm going lone wolf here. And I, for whatever reason, chose the Patriots.
I don't hate it, honestly. I could go either way. That's pretty much a toss-up.
I don't know.
You ever heard of Bill Belichick?
Yeah, maybe that's it, because that's about the only thing they've got going for them right at this moment. Next up, we've got Bears at Saints, and we'll go to Madison. Madison, Bears at Saints. Who you got?
I guess I have to take the Saints. I don't really want to, but I do think I need to.
I think that's a wise move. I really think that's a wise move, Madison. Troy, Chicago and New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot. I'm taking the Saints.
Yeah,
you can't fool me on this one.
I tried to. I really did. But we're all gonna be eating beignets. We're going with the Saints. Going with the Saints here.
Jambalaya.
Jambalaya. All right. We are going next up. We've got at the 4:05 slot. A crazy time for this game, considering it's an East Coast game. But Indianapolis at the Panthers. Panthers got their first win of the season. They're riding high. Bryce Young. Troy, who you got?
Who are they playing? Panthers against who? Colts? Gardner Minshew's a blast. Give me Minshew. Minshew mania.
Minshew magic. All right. Here, this is the moment of truth, Madison.
I mean, I'm going Colts too. I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not picking the Panthers. I know they need to win because they don't have their draft pick anyways. But
oh, well, we know how that is, don't we?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do know how that goes. I am also going to go with the Colts. I think that's great that they did get a win, so they're not going to join the Ophir land of the Browns and the Lions, apparently, or in actuality. So we'll go there. All right, next up. Now, this one, I'm really glad I picked who I picked, considering what happened this week. But we've got the G-Men at the Raiders.
Wow. This is a stink bowl.
Yes, it is. It is a real crap fest. It is a real craptacular crap fest here. Madison, Giants at Raiders. Who you got?
Is Daniel Jones back this week?
I believe he is.
I want to go Giants, but I will go Giants. The Raiders just fired everybody after trade deadline, which was freaking dumb. I don't understand it, but whatever. We'll go Giants, even though I don't love that either. But
yeah, you can't. It's hard to love either pick, but yeah, I got you. All right, Troy, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Raiders because the last time they fired their head coach during the midseason, they made a serious playoff run.
Towards the end of the season, Antonio,
with that awesome guy. You know who I'm talking about? The interim coach that everybody loved,
Bisaccia.
Yeah,
Rich Bisaccia.
And then they had that one. I don't know if he's a rookie, but they got some dude starting over Jimmy G, and then there was some. I don't know if it was real or not.
Aiden O'Connell will be the starter from Purdue. Rookie. He looks like he's got a 70s porn stash.
Well, there was somebody on the coaching staff came out and said that it was anonymous, but was when asked why he was starting over Jimmy G, and they're because he's our best quarterback. And I was like, dang, geez.
Yeah.
Tough for Jimmy G. Handsome guy. Good for him.
At least he's got that going for him.
He does. He's getting paid millions and he's handsome. He's got it figured out.
Everybody needs an ego check.
Yeah, exactly. Now you got a guy named O'Connell.
O'Connell.
Aiden.
Irish. All right. I am going to go with the G-Men. I just because I didn't like all the firings and the upheaval there, but you never know. Antonio Pierce might get the most out of him, at least in the first game. Devontae Adams is frustrated, and we'll see. We'll have to see because they really didn't change any. How much personnel did they really change? They changed coaches, but other than that, still the same guys going out there. So we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Big matchup at 425, NFC East battle. The Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. Troy, who you got?
I think this is a game that the Cowboys win and the hype gets way too loud for them, and then they completely, crap the bed afterwards, and it's awesome. It's fun every single time.
Yes,
so give me that.
You got to go with the Cowboys. All right, Madison, who you got?
I will take the Eagles, I think. I know they haven't looked great the last couple weeks, but I still think they get it done against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I also went with the Eagles just because the Cowboys do tend, and Mike McCarthy does tend to take a poop, in these big moments. So we'll see what happens. Either way, I think I'd be happier, though. I always like to see Dallas lose. I really do.
Awesome. But it's better when it's heartbreaking a little bit more further down the season.
Oh, yeah.
You drink their tears, and it's awesome.
That is good stuff there. Okay. Big matchup Sunday Night Football. The Bills at the Bengals. All right. What's the over-under on how many times they talk about DeMar Hamlin?
Oh.
Because this is the game last year when Hamlin got injured.
4.5. That's my line.
That's your line, all right?
This is like a Taylor Swift mention at a Kansas City game. Every time.
Exactly. All right. Madison, Buffalo at Cincinnati. Who you got?
I'm going to go Buffalo, I think. And again, maybe picking with my heart and not my head, but I will go Buffalo to end that winning streak. That's insane.
That would be nice. I would approve of that. Troy, who you got?
Yeah, Joe Burrow's back. I'm afraid to say it. So I think if both of them at their A game, I honestly think I'd take Joe Burrow over Josh Allen at this point.
I agree.
I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. Unfortunately, I wish he was on our team. Unfortunately, he's on our rivals. But I'm taking the Bengals.
Yeah, I think that's a wise choice. But as wise as that is, I went with Buffalo. I think I chose with my heart and not
It's
my
like 3 in a row. I'm on my lonesome.
You are. That is correct. All right, this next one we all got to be on the same page. I don't know.
Cardinals.
Monday night football. Chargers at the Jets. Madison, who you got?
I don't know if this is as cut and dry as
I know it's not.
You think it is.
No,
I mean, the Chargers have not looked good, and I mean the Jets are supposed to be bad, but they're finding a way. I think I want to take New York on this one. I don't trust LA.
I don't trust them either.
I'll go New York.
You're going to go New York, Troy. Chargers.
Their defense is awesome. Their defense is really, really, really good. And for whatever reason, the Chargers always play down to their competition. Like I feel like they'll never blow out a team like consistently. It's always close.
It is like the Christmas Eve miracle when the Browns went 1-15 thanks to the blocked field goal against the Chargers. Now, Troy, you're going with the Jets?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm just based upon potential, I went with the Chargers, even though I could very easily see your points and be, swayed that way. I chose the Chargers. I have blind faith that they're going to do something. All right. Last call here. Let's go. Arizona visiting our Cleveland Browns. Troy.
Already pulled out.
What?
Dubs against the Browns. I unfortunately think that it's not going to be smooth sailing, and it's going to come down to the wire, or come down to like the last 5 minutes, which is going to be frustrating. But there's been a few games the Cardinals have stuck in. I know the last few weeks they haven't covered, but for like the first 4, I think they covered very easily. And that also could have been just because the spreads were large, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. But you think the Browns pull it out?
Yes, sir.
All right, Madison. Cardinals at Browns. Still a little uncertainty at quarterback for the Browns. Who you got?
There's uncertainty all around, but I will take Cleveland.
All right, and we're going to make it a clean sweep. You know why they're going to win? Because I'm going to be there. That's all there is.
There you go. It's bang, bada bing, bada boom.
What's your record though at games?
Well, okay,
it's not a good start.
Actually, let me get to that. At Browns games, we've only been to one regular season game, but in all competitions of Browns games, the Browns are 4-0 with Jacob and I in attendance.
Okay.
And we've got a Cavs win under our belt. We've got
losses. How many Cavs losses?
None. We've only been to one. You were there.
Here we go.
We're undefeated. And we've got I think we're over 500 in Guardians games too. That's a nice success at the Gardos. So we are on a roll, but that's why we're going to win. We're just going to win from that. And with that, our closing segment, Troy, you might remember this little opportunity to go nuclear here about, anything that's got you going nuclear. Madison, I'll let you go first. What has you going nuclear this week?
Unfortunately, it's YouTube TV.
Uh-oh.
First of all, the games on Sunday were fuzzy, glitchy, like all of that, which put me in a bad mood to begin with. Second of all, I split my time between where I live and the beach. Wink, wink. And the beach is the home location. You got to have a home location. I had not been in a while, but I went last weekend. I logged into YouTube TV to clear everything up. Got back Sunday, logged in. Monday, could watch TV. Monday night, I am locked out of everything. I cannot get into it at all. There's no this is just a location I'm visiting. So I hop on the chat, of course, and I'll try to keep this brief. I have asked the same question 7 times. I am, I'm saying hey, look, I do not want to change the home location. It is correct. My current location is correct. This literally worked 4 hours ago. I just need it to work like it's supposed to. And the guy goes, you want to change your home location? And I was like, That is not in all caps what I said. I did not say that. I said I want to keep it. I do not want to change it. So we go back and forth for a significant amount of time. And eventually he's like, the only way to fix it is to change your home location. So I ghosted this guy because if he's going to waste my time, I'm going to waste his time. And we're just, none of it's going to get resolved. And then I changed my home location because it was the only option to watch the Cavs play on Tuesday or whatever day it was.
That is unbelievable.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. But they're telling me like, okay, we recognize you logged in at home. And I'm like, so why can you not do like, there's got to be a toggle button when you build, like I work at a software company, there's got to be a toggle button. You can go say, okay, she's been there. Let's reset the clock on how long she's been away from home. But the only clock they can, or the only thing they can reset is how many times you can change your location. And I was like, that is terrible design on your part. For one, as again, someone who works at a software company, like I know. But yeah, it was just a very frustrating experience. We went back and forth for a long time, and it was not great. So
that have me going nuclear. I never like talking to people when they offer the chat. I'm like, nope, I will call and I will sit on hold. I refuse to talk to you people. I refuse to talk to you people. Chat with
I got transferred too at one point, so I talked to multiple people. It was a good time.
Woof. Well, that is something to have you going nuclear. Troy, is there anything that has you going nuclear this week?
Nothing too crazy. I hope this doesn't sound bad. I love my job. My job's awesome. But when you have games on Sundays, it just throws your entire week out of whack.
Understandable.
Yeah, it's like basically you're just working a 6-day work week, and you don't feel like you have a weekend, and it takes a little bit of your soul out of you when you wake up on Sunday morning. Because you can't really do anything. It's not like you can go out and have fun because you got to be locked and loaded come like 2-3 o'clock. So you just end up laying around all day, wasting your entire day, just getting a bunch of anxiety about having to go work later and just being like, wow, I would do anything just to hang out and not do anything all day. But like I said, I love my job. It's just if games were never on Sundays, that would be awesome.
Upset. You wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
Well,
give me a Saturday game. I'll take a Saturday game. Just give me my Sunday.
There you go. Well, I know that this Sunday you're going to be pretty busy waiting for the Cavs and Warriors 6 o'clock tip off. That'll be a tough one because the Warriors are off to a hot start already. They're
not worried. We're going to get our guys back by then. We're going to be locked and loaded. Max Strus is going to whip the guys into shape. Oh man.
They need Niang to start hitting some shots.
He will,
You better get on him, Troy.
I will. Let the minivan ride.
He got the chain last night.
Oh, he did? Well, that's good. That's good. He's also got
people forget, huh? Some people don't follow them on Twitter, right, man?
I mean, I didn't watch the game, and I looked at the stats, and I was surprised. But I'm sure he deserved it.
Well, you were at a concert, so you had an excuse. And you know what? I canceled I got the league pass, the free trial, and I was like, nope, I'm out. I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And then I heard
yesterday.
I heard about the Bally Sports debacle yesterday. People were ticked.
Yeah.
People were ticked. Okay, so what's got me going nuclear is earlier in the week, I went to a medical office for a sleep study. Big fun. I know you all want to know my it's not a HIPAA violation because I'm telling on myself. No, so I go to this sleep study, and it's an overnight and a next day deal. And the next day, one of the things was like, oh, we'll get you lunch, from this deli here. Now, Madison, you may have heard of this being in the Richmond vicinity for college. Did you ever hear of Padow's?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, it's a local deli, and I use that term loosely. And this is what has me going nuclear. So I ordered a corned beef sandwich, a New York style corned beef sandwich, and a salad. This was the biggest disgrace I have ever seen to a corned beef sandwich. Do not call yourself a deli. Do not call yourself New York style. This thing was this thin. It was this thin. It was the biggest load of garbage I have ever seen. It just was not even good. It wasn't like a delicious hot corned beef sandwich. I mean, come on, man. Do not call yourself a deli if you're going to be serving up garbage like that. I mean, I want my sandwich this big. It should be loaded. with corned beef or pastrami or whatever. I should barely be able to get my mouth around it. That
now, are you more upset with the fact that they said New York, or are you more upset with a sandwich?
Well, I think it's the fact it's the sandwich. It is the sandwich, but if it's New York style, if I'm thinking New York deli, you're getting a fat sandwich.
I guess would you have been as mad if they didn't have the New York sign there?
Yes, I would have been.
New York.
Yes, I still would have been that mad. But yeah, no. what kind of a place calls itself a deli and gives me this corned beef, wimpy corned beef sandwich? It's like, here's one slice of corned beef. No, come on now. You got to do better than that. That's just.
They give you more at Subway.
Subway? Did you say Scrubway? I
said they give you more.
Oh. No, yeah, I don't. I still, the funny thing is, I wanted to bring this up at some point, but that is what has me going nuclear is the crap sandwich I got. But they make these ads at Subway about we slice our own meats. If you slice a piece of crappy meat, you're still eating a piece of crappy meat, whether it's been sliced or not. What's the difference? If it has no flavor, just because you sliced it just then doesn't make it any better.
You're not putting enough ranch on your sandwich. That's where you're not getting enough flavor. Silly goose. You're so silly, Ethan.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe that's why I've always been a big condiment guy. Growing up, I could tell some stories about the food I ate, but I think my dad watches the podcast. He might not appreciate me talking about his cooking that way, or maybe he would. I'm not sure. The food, let me just say that his understanding and even my understanding of what the wellness, the cooked level of a steak needed to be. And we far exceeded that. It was a little dry. Used a lot of, crazy enough, I used a lot of Thousand Island as my,
your steak?
Honestly,
that's what you ate your steak with?
I would have, now you have to remember, Troy, I mean, if it weren't a barbecue sauce, keeping kosher, you can't have milk and meat.
Oh, good call. Hand up.
So yeah.
I gotta be more cultured. Hand up.
I mean, it's fair. It is fair, but no, steak sauce, etc. So
Factory of Sadness. Put that on the screen. He gets it.
Wait a second. What? Where's he at? I don't even.
Red peppers. Yes, sir.
Yes, there it is. You need. What did he? I've missed all this. Yes, crushed red pepper. That is it. Yeah, crushed red peppers. There was a good time when we were at a restaurant there, a pizza place. We were at Donato's, and I asked for I think the cheese, and he hands me the crushed red peppers, and I'm like, this is crushed red pepper, mother, bleeper. So anytime I get crushed red pepper, that's what we got going on.
That's what you
think of. That is what I think of. So anyway, Troy, I want to thank you very much for hopping on with us. This was a great time. You are always welcome here. We love the updates from the Cavs. Tell people, who are listening, if they want to get in contact with you to look for some season tickets for the Cavs, look for individual. Do they call you for individual games?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's individual games, you're looking to get a package, season tickets, or, maybe you're looking to bring out a group of 10 or more. If you're looking to bring out 10 or more, I can get those tickets discounted. But on a single game level, I can at the very least get them without the taxes and fees that's stacked up on SeatGeek. So what I would do personally is give me a text or a call at 216. I don't know if I should. This is bold, but I'm going to do it anyways. 216-386. 7510. Again, 216-386-7510. That's my work cell phone. So I'm actually off tomorrow. So if you text me or call me, I won't get back to you until Monday. I'm going to Columbus. Friend just bought a house. They're having a party for the Ohio State game. So that should be a blast.
That is awesome, Troy. Fantastic. You're great at what you do. We love you. And hopefully I'll get to town to come to a Cavs game, or Madison. If you get to town, make sure I
got to get to one.
You guys come free.
Oh, wow. Wow. That would be amazing. But thank you so much, Troy. You're the man. I really appreciate you jumping on with us. Great time here. Go Cavs, go Buckeyes, go Browns, Guardians. Well, I was going to just mention, there's still no news in the Guardians world. Nothing's going on there. But they do have construction. they do have construction going on, so that's always good.
Renovations. Without a doubt.
It'll be.
But I really appreciate you guys having me on. I always have a blast doing this. This is so much fun. I appreciate you guys letting me come on and be myself. A little goofy, like to have fun with it. But whenever you guys will have me, I love it. I appreciate y'all.
Fantastic, Troy. All right. Well, want to thank Factory of Sadness for tuning in. Thank Troy Lowe for joining us this evening. And thank you, Madison. As always, you can find us on YouTube, Going nuCLEar CLE. And then the number 2391. I really wish I could change that. But look for our podcast, Going nuCLEar CLE, on YouTube. Like, subscribe, etc. Follow us on Twitter at our handles here, and the Going nuCLEar CLE handle for the podcast page on Twitter. So that's going to do it here for tonight. And until next time, for Madison Delaney, I'm Ethan Greenberg. You have been watching Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of